Well, it's Groundhog Day. Again. And I'm here at Spiral Island with 4 puzzles to go. They're all 7, so hopefully they're all good. Why am I doing this? Why did I do anything? Why did I wake up this morning? Why do I go to work? Why do I come home? Okay, well, I'm going to start with this one that's hidden down here. See if that's any good. No! No, fuck. Oh, God. Well, this is a great way to start this session with a match puzzle. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the game, you are blessed people to not know about this game. But these puzzles suck. They just end up being really, really tedious, uninteresting, or like you have to guess the whole puzzle. They're just very bad. Every last one of them is. 90. Okay, so we're looking at, we have to have at least 3. Everything has to be at least 3. And we can't have them be this shape. That's not possible. The reason it's not possible that it's this shape is that we would have this issue here, and then we'd have to do that there. But if it's 3, it has to be the elbow shape, which would force it to be this, and this would bend some way, but this would have to come out here, and then this would come out. I don't think it's gonna be elbows because now you got this bricky thing I gotta deal with, but like, how do I know it's not elbows? That's the thing about match puzzles, is like you have to guess your way through them. You just have to do that. They are not... Is there anything that looks like it's... There's nothing that looks immediately bricky. Like that would be bricky here. I suppose if I did elbows, we'd have to do this. These would be forced, this would be forced, this would be forced here. These 3 would have to be together, which would mean these would have to be together as well. We can't have that, so we gotta do this, gotta do that, gotta do this. This would have to go here. So far, so good. If it is this, then it cannot possibly be this. That we'd have to do all of these moves, and now we'd have to bring these together. And then we'd have to bring these together to avoid the brickiness. This isn't going to work. Something's going to happen, and it's going to make this not work. These have to be like that. That has to go here. These have to go together. These have to go together. These have to go together, and now we're bricky. Okay, so it can't be that. Pretty sure all those moves were rational. So my question to anyone out here who even has the slightest bit of justification for this puzzle: how was I supposed to know that this puzzle wasn't made of 3s? How was I supposed to know, using logic alone and not guessing my way through the puzzle as I did there? What was the way I was supposed to know that without going through the entire puzzle and seeing that it didn't work? I'm going to walk you through it again. I'm going to say, all right, match, we got 90 in this space, which, by the way, when the game came out, I couldn't press control to see the number of spaces here. I would have to individually count all of these to see that there were 90. Just, what? Like, I know individually counting isn't the worst thing in the world to do, but you want me to sit here and individually count them all to figure out what kind of shapes this can be? Are you out of your fucking mind? But apparently the developers didn't think of that. They thought of a ton of other little tweak game design things that, you know, really juice the feel of the game, but they didn't think, hey, we expect our players to count the number of cells in every puzzle, and we made this giant irregular shape that you can't tell the number unless you individually count them all. That's fun design. No one's going to complain about that shit. And then we did complain about that shit, so they changed it. Which, you know, good on them for that, but they're not willing to change the stuff that really makes this game suck, which is this right here. So, as I'm going through, if I think, all right, 3, this is one way to make 3, this is the other way to make 3. It isn't this. We can work that out without a lot of guessing, because we can see that if it's a straight line, we automatically break it there. So if it's an elbow piece, right, then we have to put elbows everywhere here. This piece has to bend there. These ones have to extend out in some way. Whatever piece is here cannot extend into these areas because it'll break the puzzle. So every little spot like this has to be like that, right? So this is a start. Now here's how far I have to go before the puzzle breaks. So having done this, I know I can't have this or that because of Bricky. There we go. These two have to go together. These two have to go together, which means they don't attach here. Do you see what's happening here? Now this has to be attached to something. This has to bend. Cool. Now we have another one of these sort of scenarios here. So we have to put this in. We have to put that in. We have to put that in. Can't have Bricky there. Those have to go. These can't go together now. So that goes here. That goes there. This can't be Bricky. See what I mean? Now, this piece has to move down because it can't bend this way, so it has to bend that way. This piece now has to bend here. These two have to go together. We now have a scenario of this, so we got to put that there. We also can't put Bricky there. This has to be like so. Then, I believe... No, is this correct? Do I have this? No, this has to bend this way, right? This has to move, and then it has to bend. So now, I've got 6 in here, which means I'm broken. The puzzle's broken. I can't ever do it right. There's no way to do it. See what I mean? Look how far into the puzzle I had to go to get to a breaking point. And the designers have the fucking audacity to say at the beginning of the game you don't have to guess to solve any puzzles. What the hell is this then? What the hell is this? If not guessing my way to see that the puzzle breaks. Are we fucking kidding? So we can't have a tetromino because 90. 4 doesn't go into 90. 5 goes into 90. 5 works really well. Now the trouble is, with these guys, like, it could be this sort of thing. There's a lot of pentominoes. So here's all the... I'm going to do it not in the... Let's do it down here. Fucking hate these puzzles. Because now, before I can actually solve the puzzle, I got to sit here and do this bullshit. O and P. And we got S, T, V, W, X, Y. I believe those are all the ones we can do. So... now my goal is to rule out a bunch of different things. If I have a pentomino, the only thing I think I can fit in this area is a P shape. So I'd have to do that somehow. If this is a P shape, and this is a P shape. If this is a P shape, it can be like this, or like that. Now if it's like this piece now has to go here. That's possible. But these three have to go together. This P shape would have to be... There's a lot of ways this one can go as well. If I were to block this off, though, I'd have to make this shape. I'd have to make this shape, and now this one has nowhere to go. So I'm pretty sure it would have to be here. Because this has to come out. This won't be it. It'll be this way. No, this doesn't work either. So this is not a P shape. Damn. So it's not an elbow. That didn't work out. It's not a tetromino. Pentomino, the only thing I can do is a P shape because of this. We have to have that shape. So this would have to be... These would have to extend and these would have to extend, and there's no way to fill that in. So there's no pentomino. Get rid of that. So we have sextomino, which the shapes we aren't as clear, but we got to fill in these 4. So now the question is, do we have this shape or that shape? I think there's the only 2 sextominos. So I'm going to start with the one I think is wrong, because immediately it breaks. How do we fill this in? Now if I do it this way, I suddenly have something I can do. That's a guess. Sorry, that's a guess. How would I do it this way? That's the only way I can think of there. But that, again, that's the only way I can think of. It's not the solution. This would have to be like that. Have to be there. This has to be here. Which means that's that. See, that's another way to do that. I didn't think of it. Yeah, I got it. I think I gotta do that. So, like, this seems to be working out, but it won't here. Maybe there's something here that does something different. This was all back where this was the guess. These two do have to go together. There's no way to make... yeah, this would have to go like that. This would have to be like that. So... oh yeah, bricky as well. Wait, I have to think about bricky too? Maybe the bricky was to prevent something else? I don't know. These have to go here, which means this... if this was part of this piece here, go here. No, we have nothing there. So that has to be a new piece. That is that one. So that was correct. These have to go together. So... this way is one way. But also... no, hold on. This way or that way? What if it's this way? Yeah. Terrible puzzle. Terrible puzzle. Oh my god. Oh my god, so bad. Okay, first of all, not a 7. Not at all even fucking close to a 7. So, I expected to have, you know, a thriller, nail biter. Not a 7. So, the first thing is, you have to guess. You just have to guess. Instead of looking at this board and logically deducing that this is the shape, what you do is go, okay, I gotta see that the whole thing is 90, and then I've got... these compass things don't even enter into it at first. Until you say, all right, well, what goes into 90? 3 goes into 90. Well, if it's a 3, how do you rule out 3? Because 3 is the wrong answer. The only way I could rule out 3 was to go through the whole fucking puzzle until something broke. Because there was nothing here. That's how it was. So that's guess land. All right, fine. Now instead of guessing 3, let's guess. Well, we can't guess 4. 4 doesn't go. Let's guess 5. Okay, let's try 5. How does 5 work? Okay, 5 doesn't work here. All right, let's guess 6 and see what shapes we can make. Like... I'm not saying no logic was used, but the thing is about guessing in a puzzle is once a puzzle has any guess at all, that is how the puzzle was solved, and it's no longer a logical puzzle. It's like a true or false statement. If a true or false statement has multiple elements to it, if a single statement in it is false, the entire thing is false. That is how this works in logic-based puzzles. If I did 100 moves and 99 of them were logic and one of them was a guess, I now solved the puzzle by guessing. That is how these are designed to go. If you disagree, you don't understand. You just don't understand. I keep seeing pushback on this game about people saying, no, actually the game is really brilliantly designed and every puzzle is able to be solved just by looking at it and just doing logical deduction. Incorrect. That is not true. Some puzzles are entirely logic-based. Others are like this. And in fact, the match puzzles are so much guessing. There's very, very few match puzzles that don't require it. And the ones that don't require it usually require you to sit here and go, okay, well, there's 3s and there's 4s, and let me do some math, and then, okay, I do all my work, just like I did with this one, and once I knew, quote unquote, that this was the shape here, once I thought this is the shape, then it wasn't really much of a puzzle? Like, there wasn't much to do. It wasn't a 7. I didn't have to think too hard about how to stick them in. Like, what the hell are these designers thinking? Clearly, they just don't think. Like, what are you doing? So bad. That might be the worst puzzle I've seen in this entire game. There are, like, worse from an individual standpoint, but the fact that this one is placed so late in the game, in this end game area that's supposed to show me this special stuff, and I just got the worst fucking puzzle of my life. Are you kidding me? I don't understand what these people think, how they think, what is fucking wrong with them. Alright, this one actually looks like a puzzle. First of all, it doesn't feature any of the stupid shit-ass rules the developers seem to think is so great, but they aren't. No bricky, no loopy, no match. We're good. So we've got a bunch of 6s. So how are we going to divide 9 up? So we can divide it into a 6 and a 3. This is one possible way. We could divide it into 6, 2, and 1, I think. Is there a way to do that? Yes, we can divide 6, 2, 1. We can also do 6, 1, and 1, like this. So, yeah. All that means is I can only have the numbers 1, 2, 3, and 6. Let's see. Okay. This 5 will be interesting. If this 5 bends. If it moves down at all, then this number can't be a 4. It would have to be the 6. We'd have to bring the 6 over here, right? And if it goes over here, that means this can't be the 6. Right? So if I prevent this... I see. I see. Okay, because we can only have 1, 2, 3. This is actually clever. Okay, we might actually have a good puzzle on our hands. Thank God I got the horrible one out of the way first. This puzzle here, we've got these boxes forcing us to use 1, 2, 3s, and 6s. Hold on, there's a 3 down here. And I have a little dilemma with this 5. I can move it this way, or I can move it this way. I can't move it both ways, because if I do this here, the only way for 5 to be 1 away from this and also be bigger is if this is a 4. But 4 plus 6 is 10, which famously is larger than 9. So I have to pick a direction to go. So either I go all the way here, which means that this cannot be the 6. The 6 would have to go this way, forcing this to be an 8, because this here would have to be larger than 6 and move this way. That would force an 8 here. This has to be larger than that, which means that either we have a 2 or we have the 6 is like this. You know what I mean? So this is some options. Now, the other ways we can move it this way. Now, the 5's got to be bigger by 2, so this has to be a 3. Because it can't be a 7, because that's larger than 6. Well, also it won't fit. So if we did this, we would have a 3, which would take up the rest of this bit. It would also have to be part of here, because either the 3 or the 6, and the 6 is larger than the 5, so we can't do that. This would be 1 away, so this would make it a 4. The 4's got to be bigger than this, which would make this the 3, which gives us the 6 here. The 5 moving this way actually gives us quite a bit, and unfortunately doesn't break the puzzle. I'd love for it to break the puzzle. Let's see. This 0 means I'd have to go down this way. And now we're in trouble. Cool, so that breaks the puzzle. I said I'd love to break the puzzle, and I did. I'm going to go over that one more time, just to make absolutely sure. So this 5 cannot take both of these, because we know that this piece now would be a 4, and 4 plus 6 is 10, and there's not enough space in here. Great. Either this way, or that way. Now, if we take the 5 this way, cool. What's 2 away from 5? 3 or 7. Can't be 7, because it wouldn't be. The 7 and 6 is 13, which you might know is larger than 9. This is a 3. Now, 3 plus 6 is 9. That fills this entire board. That means this has to be the 3, because it's either the 3 or the 6. The 6 is smaller than the 5 is not logical. What's 1 away? I suppose this could be a 2. But this does, if this is a 2, 2 is 1 away from 3. The trouble is now this has to be a 1. So we have 1 plus 3 plus 6, which is 10. So that won't work. It must be a 4. Now 4 is not larger than 6, so the 3 is to bend here. The 6 needs to take the rest of that. Okay, cool. I was right with that logic. But then we run into trouble here, because what's 0 away from 6 is 6. It also causes a problem in here. We don't even need to do that, because this 6 now has to extend, and 6 is not larger than 6. And it's not smaller than 6. So, yeah. Great. Got it. Good. We got to move this way. That's the 5. So, 1 away from 5 is 4 or 6. It can't be the 4. So we must have this be the 6. And this must be larger than 6, so it's at least 7. But this 6 has come out, makes that an 8. So that's what that is going to be. Just need to make a note for myself. And it's not going to bend down here, because we can't fit an 8 into there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's got to be there. All right, now 8's got to be larger whatever's in here, which is going to happen, because the largest I can put in here is 6. This is also going to have to be the 6, which is larger than whatever this is. Now, this could be a 1. But if it is not... If this is a 1, this is a 4, a 2 makes a 5, a 3 makes a 6, and a 6 makes a 3 or a 9. It has to be a 3. This can't be a 3, because then this would be a 6, which would be... No, because we have 1 and then 6. Okay, well, let's think about that later. So now, if I bring the 6 up here, well, we have a 6 there, 2, 3, and we have... This has to be a 4 or an 8, which it can't be. 1, 2, 3, and 6 are the only numbers allowed. So yeah, this can never be a 6 right here. So this can't bend up there. This has to be a 1. This is the 6. This has to be larger. This has to be a 1 or a 2. And it can't be a 2, right? Can't be larger than that. If it's a 3, then the 6 doesn't have enough space. If it's a 2, then it's here. This has to be a 1, and then what do we do here? So no, this has to also be 6. So this has to be a 1. 6 has to get in there. We gotta do that. I think this is required. Hopefully this is correct. And now we can have a 3 in here, so we have a 3 and a 6. 3 can easily go here. And we would be fine. Right? 6 can also go here. But then what is this one? 3 here. We'll think about it. We'll think about it. Now, 2 away is 3. This must be a 3, which means 1 away is 2 or 4. This has to be a 2. Right? Because from a 3 to a 4, 4 plus 6 doesn't work. So this is a 2. I'm pretty sure we're going to have this. Right? Because this 6 can't go here. This needs to be a different number. It's got to be a 1. Hopefully I've got this right, because I'm at a point now where I'm not 100% sure I've got this. But if I'm wrong, I don't know where to stick it. So this could easily move in, or we could have a 2 here, and then have this 3 move out. Don't know that yet. Now here, 4 away from 6 is 2. Certainly not going to be a 10, because the problem with a 10 is that I'm going to have to bend all the way through here. Oopsie daisy. So this has got to be a 2, and it's not going to go that way, because that's going to be wrong. So 1 away from 6. So bigger than 6, and then 1 away is a 7. 3, 4, 5, 6, and then it either is here. This will work. No, this won't. If I go here, yes, it's 1 away, but then 3 away from 7 is 4, which doesn't fit in here. So the 7 would have to be like this. Gosh, I hope I'm right. So now 1 away from 6 is either 5 or 7. 7 doesn't work, so 5. This has to be 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's that. We could easily do that. We could easily do this. No. Yes, we could easily do this. We could easily do this. Because then 1 away from 5 is 6, which is this piece. And 2 away from 5 is 3, which is this piece, which would also be bigger than the 2 that I create there. Dang. But this would work because the 6 would move over, and then this would be a 4. This certainly wouldn't be an 8. This would be a 4, and then that would be a 3. I don't know. Let's hold off. Well, if I move this up, I have a 1 here. Does that cause a problem? We don't have it. No, it doesn't cause any problems. This feels right, but again, that's intuition. That's not good design. If I move this in, this would have to be a 1. 5, this would be 6, this would be 4, this would be 3. Okay, so I think this is going to break down here. If I move this up here, this right here has got to be bigger. This has to be the 6, this would have to be a 4, this would have to be a 3. The problem with the 3 now is that the 6 is going to end up touching this. What's 2 away from 6 is a 4 or a... yeah, this doesn't work. So 6 is going to end up touching that because the 3 can't reach. 3 plus 6 is 9, can't fit any more pieces into here. 6 is either 4 or 8, which means the 3 is blocked, 3 is to go here. What's 1 away from 3, 4 or 5? This doesn't work. Yep, that's where it breaks. So we do have to move in here. The thing that felt right. So larger than this must now be the 2. Larger than this, well, what's 2 away from 5? 3 is 2 away from 5. There we go. This all works out really well. So what's 3 away from this is 3. Or 9, but like I don't think it's going to be a 9. If it was a 9, let's pretend it's a stupid number. It's a 9. Won't go there. So it'll be 1, 2, 3. Can't go there. 4, 5, 6. Yep, it's a 3. So it's got to take at least those. It could take also that, but it could also go here. This can't be a 1 for sure, but that's not really helpful. 1 away from 5 is 6. Can't be 4 because 4 plus 6 is not the right number. 3 away from 5 is 2. So there you go. That's 1 away from 3. It's also 1 away from 1. If I move this 3 up, what's 2 away from that? 1? Oh dear, yeah, but this 3 can't move up anyway, because now this is a 1. It's not big. 1's not bigger than anything. Or it's a 5, and this whole thing is broken. So now this works out just perfectly. The 6, I think, has to go here, because, yeah, we have a 1 left, which is going to be this. 6 is bigger than whatever this is, which is going to be a 4. And we're done. There we go. That's a good puzzle. That one's good. That's how you design puzzles. Good grief. All right. Hopefully it's all uphill from here. What are the other ones? There's one up here I believe I missed last time around. There. Oh, good. Eyesore puzzle and loopy puzzle. I've done this type of puzzle already. Let's make the big open sea here. This has gotta be there. And then let's make our alternate thing. Alright, this can't be blue. Can it? Yeah. Because of this watchtower thing we've done before. I did a puzzle earlier where I learned some interesting thing about this, but now we just gotta do it again. Man. I'm not saying I could make a better game, because I probably can't. I'm just saying somebody could make a better game. Somebody needs to let... Okay, whoever is behind these games, the Lunark Studios or whatever, is behind Islands of Insight and Artisans of Glimmith, clearly has a lot of creativity and passion and all that. They just need to tell that creativity and passion to a competent designer. That's just what needs to happen. So this can't be blue because then we only have one wall, which means you either take that space or that space. So this has got to be red. That's the wall. That's where that goes. That's our break-in, so to speak. This has got to be red. This also has to be red for the same reasons as before. So now, if I make this a blue, the puzzle breaks. Because with this type of puzzle, right, we only have two regions. The regions must all connect to each other. There can't be breaks in them. We can't have a point where three borders meet, etc., etc. If I put blue here, obviously, blue's going to go up this way or that way, but not both. So let's assume the wall is here. Well, that's red. Now, what is this? Because of our rules, we can't put a checkerboard here, this blue, because now there's no way for these two blues to connect without cutting this red off in some way. Okay, well, what if the wall is here? We have the exact same problem. Red goes there, which means that. The only way to solve it is there. So this must be a red dead end. And these must also be blue. These must be blue. If I put a red dead end here... Don't know. If I put a blue dead end here, I have to have red all around. I'd basically have to do that, which doesn't seem like a problem yet. Is there anywhere I could put it that would be a problem? If I make this a red, then that's the wall, and I have to do these, which is fine. I'd have to do this and then that. That's all very well and good. If I make this blue, however, what happens? Nothing immediately happens, so that's not very helpful. How about you? Well, since I now know this is the dead end, I know that this is blue, that's blue, and that is blue. So this can't be red, because then we'll have two walls there. It must be blue. We must bring this around, because there's no checkerboards allowed. Do we get anything else from that? One of these two must be a wall. If I put a wall here, then that is that. I don't think I get anything out of these. Let's try this again. This one goes. This would make that red. Again, it's just not quite helpful. How about this? Does this mean anything? Don't think so. Oh, right here. We can't have this be blue, because it's the same reason on the edge of the map. One of these two is to be blue. It breaks the watchtower thing. So there we go here. So we got to take all of these. No checkerboards allowed. Thank you. Got to bring that in. Got to bring that in, which means now this can't be blue. This got to be red, which is going to do this. That's a wall, so this is blue. This has to be like that. Right, that's got to come out, which means either we have these three or... this can't be blue now because the wall is on the right side, which is going to do that. So that's red, which means that's that. That's got to be red as well. Great, this has to be blue. This also has to be blue. This here can be blue just fine, right? Yeah, it's not a problem. It can be red just fine. Yeah, so far so good. Don't know that one. This guy, if it's blue... If it's red, oops, then we would have that. It would connect here, it would be fine. Yeah, it would be fine. If it was blue, what would happen? Nothing. Oh, this has to be red. Right, so there you go. That's the wall, which means there's blue. This is red. This is red. Just probably should put that in there to start. I could block this off because I have another escape for red, or I could make it come out through here. Maybe there's something. If I bring this down, I have to do that, which would force red here because it couldn't be blue. But it doesn't force much else because I can do either of those things. Forces red there, which means red can't go here? Yeah, which would force this. Would force that. Okay, we're into like guess territory here. It's broken. Okay, so we can't do it. And now I'll show why that is the case. Here. Yeah, this is where I was. I was thinking like either this is red and we have these pieces, or it's blue and we have these pieces. We can't do blue here because it causes a problem with this cell over here. If we make this one blue, we have to fill these all in, which means we have to fill this in as red because you can't have a box shape because it breaks the watchtower. So this has got to be red, and it's also a dead end, so there's that. So it either goes this way or that way. But this we don't care about quite yet, because now by doing this, we've broken this area here. We can't make this red because it can only have one wall. It's already on the top, which breaks this here. So it has to be blue, which is going to connect all of these, which forces this to be red. Now we can't have a checkerboard here, so this would also have to be blue. Red has to come out. This is a dead end. It has nowhere to go. It's not connected to a rose window. The end. Game over. You lose. Can we just get back to where I was, please? It was somewhere like this. So this must be red. Makes the dead end here blue. This must escape, which means this now can't be red because it'll be two walls. This must be blue. So that is still the case. This must be red and it must escape. But if it escapes down here, it must come out that way. So either way, it must go here and connect to this. Because it can be here or it can be there. Either way is fine. This must be blue. If I do this, if it's blue, we're just fine. If it's red, then I need all of these, right? Which would force this, which does what? Forces that. This can't be red. This can be red. Okay, this is a little too far into the guessing. I don't know what that is. Now, this guy. No, maybe this one. Something. Hold on, that was still a guess. If I did it this way, though, I would be forced to come here. That would be out. And then, if this was red, it would be like this. And we'd be busted. Okay. So if I did this, I had to come out. This has come out. This would have to be blue. But even before that, this is how you do it. Okay, that's fine. This is not broken. Dang it, I want to break it. If I bring this out, we've got to do that. And this would have to, yeah, we'd have to be red again on this, which I think was busted. Is it? That's got to go there. This has to go here. And then this couldn't be blue because it would block in the red. So it would have to be red, which would be forcing that, which would be forcing this, forcing blue here. I feel like I'm in guess territory. I'm so far into guess territory, it's not funny. But this works out so well. I need to know why something is wrong, not guess until it's right. That's the whole idea. If I brought this down to red, well, this could be red going a different direction. Nothing's stopping me. If this were blue, I'd have to have all of these be red. Which would mean if this was red, it would have to take all of these, and we're screwed here. So this would end up being blue, and it would end up being that. It's just broken. So this dead end must be red. Right? I'm going to go over that again. I'm not 100% sure I'm right. If this dead end is blue, obviously red's around these, and it must do this to avoid the checkerboarding. Which means this is either red or blue. If this is red, we can't go this way, so that must be where the wall is. And then, yeah, what is this? It has to be red, and we're busted. So, okay, then this would be blue. But blue, that's where the wall is. Yep, okay. This is, in fact, a red cell. But what does that mean? Because it can go any way we want. If it goes this way, it goes all the way. But, like, it could go that way. If this one is blue, it would have to take both of these cells. Because if it didn't take both of them, it would take both of these cells and block the red end. So it has to take both of these. Which means this red would have to escape. It has nowhere to go. Dead end. So now this is red. And it can't take both of these cells now because then it would be breaking the watchtower, so it must take both of these. Which means it can't take that. Blue's got to take that. Red is here. Cool, we're good with red. Now one of these two. It is not this one, because now what goes here? It's checkerboard if it's blue, and it's watchtower break if it's red. So it is this way. This must be blue. Now do I connect through here, or do I connect some other way? Science can't explain. Let's make this blue, because it's got to be. This actually also has to be blue, because the dead end means this has to be red. So the question is, what is this? If I put this as a dead end, that's all forced, and then we're screwed. So this is blue. Means red's got to go all around here. Which means this is red? It can't go this way. Can this ever be blue? If so, what way does it go? It would have to go this way to avoid a checkerboard, right? This would have to go like so, right? Yeah, it would have to go this way to avoid checkerboard, which would be a problem because now that's a checkerboard. So this is in fact red, which means this is blue. This is blue. So this does connect up here, and then we just got to connect these pieces somehow. If this is red, it would have to be these pieces, which is going to checkerboard. So this is blue, and it's these, which easily puts blue here, and then I believe the puzzle is complete. That's a good puzzle. I mean, I'm not excited to see this type of puzzle because I've seen it 10,000 times already in a game that is way too long. And it's, I don't know why this one's a 7. It seemed to be just as hard as the last one of these I did, which wasn't a 7. Whatever. At this point, nitpicking just feels mean. Like, the game already fucking sucks because of very high-level problems. It's too long, the difficulty curve is all wrong, the open-world nature of the game actually hinders it instead of helps it. So everything else at this point just kind of feels like being mean. Alright, here's the final one. This is the one that's positioned at the center of the area. The game is telling me through every aesthetic choice here that this is the big bad puzzle of the game. So is it, or is it going to be a disappointment? My money's on disappointment, because if I had my money on disappointment all the time, I would come out ahead on this fucking game. Alright, so that's that. Can't do that stuff. Great, Bricky. Bricky's my fucking favorite. I love Bricky so fucking much. Well, this has to extend out for sure. Because if it doesn't, we have Bricky. So we've got to have something extending here. Which means this piece obviously doesn't go up. But that doesn't really tell you much. So this is at least a 2. And then this is at least a 3. Does that help me? No. This could easily be part of that. This is probably not going to help me out that much. Don't think the inequality... I don't think I'm going to be doing a lot of math with this. This shape feels like the shape that's going to be. But I don't think it is. Also, this is possible. Oh, hold on. Let me think about it. If I do this, then this shape would basically do that. But not guaranteed on that. Not guaranteed. Here's a string of things that's got to happen. Maybe that's useful. Alright, I think with our good friend over here, I think I can get something. I can get something with this. I think I can't bring this down. I gotta put a wall here. Because if I don't put a wall here, obviously I'm done with everything below this compass point. But now how am I going to get 2 spaces to the right? I can take this one, but I can't take that. So I gotta take one up here. Which one am I going to take? 1, 2. I'm out of spaces above. I can't take it. And also I now have this other compass which breaks it. So I gotta put a wall there. So the 2 spaces cannot be up here. They've got to be these 2. There we go. Which means I now need 2 above and 3 to the left, which this easily does, but I feel like that's going to break things. This easily does. Let's hold off on that, because this needs now a minimum of 1, 2, 3, 6. It's a minimum of 6. Which means... Damn. Okay. Not helpful. This could still be a... no, this could still be like anything... If I don't know what this maxes out at, this can actually literally be 2 plus. This could be a 2. This could also be a 10. Like, what if this is an 11? I mean, no, 6 is the minimum. What's the maximum I can do? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 8. 6 to 8. Okay, cool. 6 to 8. That makes this 7 minus, 6 minus. That's the biggest this can be is a 6. But it could also just be a 1, so it's not really that helpful. This is at least a 2, which means it doesn't connect here. So I think with whatever this guy is, I can't have a wall here. If I have a wall here, I have 1, 2, and then I'm out of spaces. Everything breaks it. So I've got to bring these over. We can't connect it here. Now, to get 2 more, I could easily do 1, 2, or 1. Oh, I see. At least one of these has to be below and to the right. But I can also do that. Or I can do this. So I'm looking at this, and I can also take this space without much trouble. It's a challenge, I would say. Gotta be at least a 2, at least a 2. Ah, here's something. Maybe with this piece, I should start looking around. I can't have a wall here, because then I would have to do that. So this has to go here, which means I got a wall there. I can do this, though. I can easily have a wall there. This has to be at least a 3. So 4 plus here. And it can't go that far. It can go this far, though, and so I don't know where it goes. It could also just take these, and this... Well, hold on. This is a 4 plus. If we go here, this would be 5 plus. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That works. That works. Right? Because then I just do this, I make this a 3, and I make that a 2, and everything's fine. Nobody's hurt. We can all go home. This is 7 minus. It could also be a 2. It's a 2 to a 7. It can be any of those things. How do I get... with this piece, how do I get a piece to the right? There's only one way, and it must be this way. I can't get through anything else. So it must go here, and now it's done down here, which means I now need 3 above. So minimum 6 for this guy. So I can go 1, 2, 3. I can also do this, 1, 2, 3, and now it's a 7. This is actually a 6 or a 7. It can't be anything else. 6 to 7. Which means it could technically be this piece. We could have an 8 and a 7. If I did this and I proved this was an 8, we would prove this move, which would be quite the move. That would really restrict things in a really good way if I could get this to be an 8. This is the only way to make this an 8. It would force me to make that shape. Has Bricky come into play at all? Not really. It'll come into play here. That's how it comes into play. You can't have that. So we gotta do this. Which means now this piece has to be taken. Because if it's not taken, we overload. So we have to take that piece, and then we take either that or that, but we don't take that one. that means we can't do that. These two have to go together. We can still do this, though. Any more brickiness things I missed? It's really easy to miss because it's a stupid fucking rule. I already know that's bigger than a 1, though. That's... Okay, this has to be at least a 3. Great. 3 plus. Oh dear, there's bricky there, so 4 plus. 4 plus. Gotta go there, and then it can't go there. Yeah, that's a problem. So this has to be at least a 2, and now this here is 4 or 5. No other option, which this means 4 minus. Can't be larger than 4, because then it would break here. This could go here. So either we have this come down, or we have this move over. So this would be 5, this would be a 3. Largest this can be is a 5, so this is a 4 minus. We could do this, just have this be a 1. No, this is bricky right off the bat. So no, that goes here. This is a 6. That's done. We can't take any more pieces. So if this is a 6, then this is a 7, and this is an 8. By George, I've got it. So we have to do this. Oopsie daisy. So if I have the 8 here, this must be 7, which now is going to connect it to this piece. Because if it doesn't connect, if I did something like this, I don't have room to make the 7. So this is a 7. To make this a 7, right? I've got these done. I can have one more piece above. I have to take this one. Which means I don't take that piece, because that's bricky, right? Yeah. I gotta take that one. Gotta take that. So now this piece has to come out. And now to get 3 below, I have to take this. So this is no longer a 3. This is going to be... This can't be taken. It's gotta be that. We're so far so good. We can't bring those. This is a 2. This here with 5, I'm using the color to help me decide, to look and see the size. Anytime I have a rule based on size, I try to use a color pattern that helps me just know it immediately. This has to be at least 3, and it will be a 3. It'll be exactly a 3, which means now the 4 has to extend somewhere. It could easily extend here, and this is a 5. If I didn't do it that way, if I blocked this off... Oh, it's bricky. I can't do it anyway. So there you go. This should be fine. Now... I need 2 spaces above this one. Well, hello, my friend. It's going to be here. And I need those 2. I need those. Right? Yeah, I can't have brickiness here. So this would be here. This would be a 4. This is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Another 6. 4. The size of this one doesn't matter. It's just the shape. This must now be a 5. So this is fine where it is. This is what this can be a 1, as far as I care. Whatever's here has got to extend out that way. I can't connect to that. So whatever this is, probably going to grab those 2 pieces. These 2 have to go together anyway, right? Because if they don't go together, well, I could do this, but then how do I get... If I put a wall here, how do I get 2 spaces to the right without also getting 2 spaces, more than 2 spaces below, right? So I got to take that. I got to block this, means I got to take this. So now I need a space below this, not to the right, but I can easily do it here. Not totally sure. That's got to go there. The minimum for this, I think, is 7. Right? The minimum is going to be like that. But this could be larger than that. I'm not sure. Yeah, this is larger. But this piece now, this is 2 to 4. That's the biggest it can be. This can't be a 1, because if it's a 1, we have a bricky. So this is at least a 2. 2 plus means this is at least 3 plus. Right? Well, it has to go that way. Or that way. Don't know. It could be this way. It's fine. Let's hold off on that. If I move this here, I'm going to have this be at least an 8, which is going to be quite troublesome. Is there any way to do that? If I did this here, I couldn't have any more pieces above, so I'd have to do it like that, which would, I don't have the space, so I can't actually bring that piece in. Yeah, I can't connect this here. There's no way. There's no way this piece is large enough. I need to think about it. Maybe there is a way. I need to just make sure I've not broken something. Now, the right is complete, the up is complete, the down is half complete, the left needs to be started, but we can't take anything up here. It has to be, it has to be this or that. This leaves a 4, which is not larger than 7. This leaves a 6, which is not larger than 7. So yes, this here is 2+, but then this piece here can't connect to it. So if I put a wall here, there'd be no way to get extra pieces without overloading. So this has to go here, and it can't connect, therefore this is exactly a 2. Great. Now, this can go. In fact, I think it has to be this one. If I put a wall here, I can't take this piece, I have to take that one, which is going to overload that. So I have to take that piece, which the upper, the right are now complete. So I think, yeah, I can't take those. So I have to take these 2. This is the piece, it's 7. So now anything bigger than 2 is fine. The thing is, this piece can just take the 2 down here, but it has to take at least that. So the minimum 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Actually, if it takes this piece, it's done. If it takes this piece, it's done. We can't have bricky. That's a 3. So this is a 6 down here. Great. Now we can't have bricky here, so this is a piece there. Then this must be at least 3. Oh, fuck. Oh, no, it just works out. This just ends the puzzle. This is 4, this is 3, this is 2, and this is 1. Okay, that was a pretty good puzzle. I will say, it wasn't good enough to be the ending puzzle. That's all I can say about it. It was just fine. Like, it's a good puzzle. If I'd seen it elsewhere in the game, it would just be like, in fact, why didn't I see this somewhere else in the game? I don't know. That finishes off the Spiral Island. I apologize to both of my fans for how fucking angry I've been over these past few videos. I just needed something more. The game is too long, there's all these problems with it, and now we just have more of it. So this doesn't feel like a reward. Right? Like, this just... I get angry because this game could have been good. It's not made by some soulless corporation who shits things out just to make a buck. Whatever. The people behind it are probably all very passionate and generous people or whatever. Just nobody sets out to make a bad game. Everyone working on this really thought they were doing their best, but just no, this doesn't work. Cut 50% of the shit out of this game, you probably have something. Leave this behind. Actually, no, this one wouldn't stay because I would recommend getting rid of Bricky, Loopy, and Match altogether. Just not having those puzzles, which would get rid of a couple hundred right there. But like, and if you're gonna have an end game, if you're gonna present this as an end game, it really needs to feel like the end of the game. It doesn't feel like it. It just feels like another just kind of area. Whatever. So the next thing I'd be doing is heading over this way. So it looks like, how many do we have here? Do we have a window? 34. There are 34 puzzles left in this game. That's a fine number, right? And they're all hard, which is good. It means they'll probably be good puzzles. So it'll probably take another 5 to 6 videos to finish this off. Jeez. Yep. So my shot that I called way back, it feels like way back, I don't know. The shot that I called, I said I would be questioning the end game. It's looking pretty good. Looking like I called that one pretty good. But we'll see if this feels any different. It's probably just going to be more of the same. Like, it's rules we've already seen before, so the question I'm going to have is, why do we have these puzzles here and not interspersed throughout the other areas? That's the question I'm going to have. Man, I really wish this was a good game. I really wish this was a good game. but it's not.